what it do, YouTube? It's your dog Paint back at you with another video. Sorry for the wait, you know what I mean? But I'm back at you with another episode. This video here about my big dog GB, man. One of the old school cats I could say was before his time in Augusta, especially when it come down to music. Now keep in mind, I always seen Big Bro doing this thing as far as in the streets in the early 90s of trapping, slanging iron, you know what I mean? But what stuck out the most in the 90s, out of all of the, I want to say the mid 90s, out of all of the OGs in the hood, big dogs or whatever the case, he was the only one trying to had a vision of trying to bring a record label or trying to shine light on the hood as far as musically wise, because in Augusta at the time, you know, it was real rough and nobody was doing no music in the 90s like that besides Troy, as far as that kick the door open, you know what I mean? We got plenty more of the rappers down here, but we didn't never have no music platform. But I'm going to say that to say this. Even when it wasn't no social media, none of that, back in the hard copy days, he still was grinding. If I'm not mistaken, I think he got like four albums that he dropped in Augusta before he ended up going to the A and messing with the big dogs, you feel me? Like messing with a lot of gangster rappers, far as like Alley Boy, Frank Lenny, Fiend. Of course, he ended up linking with Pastor Troy, you know what I mean? All kind of artists that, put it like this, all of your gangster artists from the 90s that was doing their thing. I ain't gonna say I seen him doing the collabs with any, you know, young rappers, but we talking about like legendary street rappers. You know what I mean? He done did collabs with the best of them. But in the process of this story, what I want to say is I could say he was the only one from Sunset to get his own record label, you know what I mean? Mob Tech Records. And down here in Augusta, it's so shadow banned with music that people only support artists off popularity. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta be kin to this person, kin to that person. And then, you know, I guess they'll probably jump on the bandwagon. But overall, I gotta give him his flowers because he was one of the ones out the hood that's still living, that did his thing and transitioned, you know what I mean, from the music levels, the truck driving, all of that. You gotta acknowledge, that's one thing about being gangster. See, being gangster ain't all about slanging iron, going to prison and all that. Being a gangster is when you live that life and you done transition to something better. You know what I mean? You don't do the same thing that you've been doing for 50 years. You know what I mean? You got to pay attention to big homies like that. The ones that came from the streets, that made a transition and started feeding their family different on a different level, bro. So, you know what I mean? I got to give GBS props because he done did everything else that everybody else done did. Far as, like I said, from prison, standing on all 10, he a colorblind gangster. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's a must. I give him his flowers, man. Shout out to that nigga GB. Y'all let me know what y'all think about that in the comment section, man. I'm gone.